guys, today I'm going to be doing a review of the Opteka 650 to 1300mm lens, also known as the 650 to 2600mm lens because it comes with a 2x converter which doubles the focal length. This is a telephoto lens that you can use for long-range photography. If you know anything about telephoto lenses, you'll know that they can run upwards of $10,000 a lens. Many of us don't have that much money to spend on a lens, especially if you're an amateur photographer and you just want to try out this type of photography, but don't want to have to mortgage your house to do it. This lens is a great alternative to those super expensive telephoto lenses. It's priced around $200 to $300 where I've seen it, and I've got some photos I'm going to show you so that you can see how far it'll zoom. So let's get into some of the details about this lens. Why is it somewhere between $200 and $300 rather than $10,000? One reason is because it's an off-brand. It's not Canon or Nikon, which are the ones that are going to run into the thousands of dollars. But for those lenses, the quality is of course there. But just because this is a much lower price tag doesn't mean that it doesn't take quality photos or that it's not a quality lens. It is completely manual, and as an amateur photographer, that is probably what you're going to notice the most. That's going to be the biggest learning curve. Especially if you're getting started out and you're used to using autofocus on everything, this is going to require you to look at manual focus. There is no way to use autofocus on this lens. It is manual focus. This is your focus ring and you twist it to focus. When you zoom in and out, you're going to have to refocus. Probably the biggest thing about this lens that you're going to notice is different from your normal DSLR lenses is the push-pull zoom. Push-pull zoom means that you're going to have to unlock this part of the lens by twisting this ring. And once it's unlocked, you pull it out. The focal lengths are written on the lens, which is kind of a cool feature, but the push-pull zoom is a slow process. Once you've got it zoomed to where you want, you have to lock this ring back down. What that means for this lens is that it is not a lens that you're going to want to use for fast-moving subjects. Just because when you zoom in and zoom out, it's the push-pull, it's manual, it's slower, you have to lock this ring back down, and then you're going to have to refocus with your manual focus. This is a good lens to use for nature photography, for photographing animals, if they're slower moving animals, so probably not squirrels that are running around or flying birds. But, you know, if you're in a national park or something, the bison, bears, animals that you want to stay farther away from, please stay away from the animals in national parks. So many people have gotten way too close to them lately or gotten hurt and gotten the animals hurt. So use this lens instead. This is also really cool for nighttime photography, for taking photos of the moon. This is the first lens I've tried that with, and it was so cool to be able to look through my camera and see all the craters in the moon in detail. Because this is so big, you're going to get camera shake. The Opteka 650 to 1300mm lens mounts onto your tripod directly. Your camera doesn't mount onto your tripod, the lens does, and the camera is attached to the end of the lens. You need this T-mount adapter to fit onto this. This goes in between the lens and your camera. Without this, the lens will not fit on your DSLR. Now, because this lens is so big, you're going to get camera shake even with your tripod. The heavier, sturdier tripod that you have to use with this, the better. Chances are with a lens this size, you're going to get a little bit of camera shake no matter what, so it's really imperative that you use a remote. It comes with a 2x teleconverter, which is just a tiny little attachment, and this goes in between the lens and your camera. Instead of putting the T-mount adapter that I showed you before on the lens, instead you'll be attaching it to this, and this attaches to your camera, and then the lens is on the other side. And this basically doubles your zoom length. When I used this for shots of the moon and took it to 2600mm, I could not even get the full moon in my camera frame because I was so close to it. There is a learning curve with this lens. Because of the push-pull lens and the manual zoom that some people are not going to be used to, it takes some practice. Overall, I've messed with this lens quite a bit. I've used it in a city setting, forests, and for nighttime photography, and I've really enjoyed the opportunities that it opens up. So just to recap, focus, manual, zoom, push-pull. You have your 2x teleconverter that takes it from 650 to 1300 to 2600. It's a huge amount of zoom. Push-pull requires locking and unlocking this little ring. The lens mounts onto your tripod instead of your camera. You need a remote, a good steady tripod. Price range $250, $200 to $300, somewhere in there depending on where you buy it. The adapter is crucial. There's a reason that it's not thousands of dollars, but it is a great lens for amateurs. You just have to be patient learning to use it. It seriously expands your options for photo opportunities. Again, not the lens for fast moving subjects, so you're in an environment where you can use a tripod, where you're not going to have to zoom in or zoom out, change your focus point really quickly. The process of adjusting this lens is just slower. Alright guys, that's it for this review of the Opteka 650 to 1300 or 650 to 2600 millimeter lens. If you want to check out the lens itself, I'll be putting a link to it in the video description. You can also check out my full written review on my site, curiouswriter.com. I'll put a link to that too. I do really like it, but it is definitely not a $10,000 lens, so you just have to be aware of that when you buy it. If you want to catch me in between videos, you can always follow me on Twitter, OneCuriousWriter, Instagram, OneCuriousWriter. Okay, I'll see you guys later.